Camera 1.
Camera 2.
Now it starts with a wide shot. Camera 2.
Okay.
Then hi, welcome to Yo Soy Neighborhoods, Fresno. Today we are having a couple of very special guests out of our 128 plus languages spoken here and 128 communities that are multicultural communities that are represented. So today we'll have a little bit of a story from our African American neighborhood and then from our Armenian neighborhood. You know our panelists. My name's Edna Collins, founder of Yo Soy Media Inc. and Yo Soy. And we have Mickey Addison to my right.
Hello.
And Vanush
Khachaturian, like that.
Okay, so we'll be introducing a Jeff Aronian and a Miss Janice Sumner, and they are, Mr. Aronian is the individual that helped put the exhibit that we have at the fairground, and Janice Sumner is the director of the Juneteeth group. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be watch closely. It's a very nice video. Done.
And we'll be right back.
And we'll be right back. Be sure to, I was going to say, be sure to call 226 since she didn't give me the. Okay, where is she? Is she here? I just wanted to remind everyone, if you'd like to ask any questions, call in at 559-226-1521. It should be on your screen there. Today we're having Vanush lead on the introduction to her guests. So we'll let Vanush take over from here.
Well, there's two dates that are kind of common with the Armenians, especially this month. The first is the 24th of 1915, April. And they technically observe that as the Armenian Genocide, but it really was not the start of the Armenian Genocide. It was the day that our intellectuals, our scientists, our teachers were basically hung in the middle of the square by Haranush train station, correct? They brought them into the Constantinople train station and they were right out in front of Haranush train station. So there's steps to genocide, and the steps are all the same, whether it's Cambodia, Rwanda, Sudan. It all starts with confiscating the weapons and then gathering the men up. You grab the muscle, 14 years and up, you eliminate them, take them from their homes, and kill them. Then you tow, and you get after the muscle's done, the brains are gone after. You go and you attack the brains, and that's the 24th, what it signifies. And after that, all you have to deal with is women, children, and some old people. So it makes genocide very strategically done, and it's done about power and money, not necessarily done because they hate you. It's because you have something that they want. So that's really the 24th, what it signifies. Very important, significant date. Here in town, what we have is a flag raising ceremony at City Hall at 10 a.m. on the 24th. Mayor Lee Brown will be there talking. We're also going to have the Sounds of Freedom, a local, really good orchestra. They've been around, I want to say, 35 years, Sounds of Freedom.
Wow.
They will be there.
It's a long time.
And there'll be the ROTC doing a little ceremony along with our Home Minutemen, which is Armenian Scouts. And it's a blended scout group. It's boys and girls. We never segregated. We always had together. And that's been 100 years
Wonderful.
and over that the Home Minutemen have been around. So, and in the evening, there'll be some ceremonies at Fresno State, and that starts at 6:30. And that will be a real good one to have the president of CSUF speaking. And then the second date of this month is a very special Armenian exhibit at the Fresno County Historical Museum. And why it's so important to us as being an American of Armenian descent is that we're such a huge part of the American fabric, especially Fresno's fabric. I mean, the agricultural industry was pretty well started by Armenian orphans for the most part, having seeds in their pockets. And I mean, they had to eat, so they knew if they grew the food, they would at least eat. And then also,
That's smart.
they really couldn't live in town. They didn't want them living in town, so they had land outside. And that was farming. That was the industry they built. And Jeff, I'm sure, will go into that a little bit further.
That was way back in the 1900s, or
Yeah,
late 1800s.
the first ones, and Jeff will go over that, were actually the Seropian family, and they were famous for fighting, was it South Pacific Railway they fought?
Well,
They-
if I,
Yeah.
maybe
We'll go
let's-
back.
through that
yeah.
in a
So,
minute.
so the 13th, and he's going to speak about that more.
Actually, thank you for having me here. This is really an honor, and I'm really excited. I want everyone to go to the museum. It's the Fresno County Historical Museum. It's at the Fresno Fairgrounds on April 13th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have it open to the public, and it's usually not open to the public. And the museum's great. They have stuff on the first floor, the second floor. The CEO of the Fresno Fair, his name's John Alkire, wears the cowboy hat. I'm sure you guys have seen him. He's the hardest working guy in Fresno, I think. But he worked with us, and everyone needs to just check out the museum. There's a lot of good things there.
One of the things that I noticed when I visited the local part downstairs, you're of course on the second
We're
floor,
on the second floor.
was the Native American display. Oh my gosh,
Right.
that was amazing.
There's it's stuff on every culture of Fresno is represented in the museum. They have the courthouse, the actual courthouse that was smashed down. They have the furniture from that. They have all sorts of neat things in there. So I encourage everyone to go see it. Now,
The docent's very nice, too.
right, nice people working there. There used to be an Armenian exhibit on the wall there, and when they first opened the museum, and it was put together by some great people, but it didn't really focus on Fresno County. So the reason why we wanted, my brother and I, Jason is here, we wanted to do something that really focused on Fresno County, because that's where we're from. My family, all four grandparents arrived here early 1900s. In fact, they started on the East Coast and migrated out, because that's all the Armenians came and really settled on the East Coast first, and then came out to Fresno. So all four of my grandparents were from here. So we have 100 plus years
Cool.
of history here.
Wow.
So we love Fresno. We really wanted to show how everything got started here.
Right.
So the first settlers, like Vanush was saying, they started coming here in 1881.
Wow.
And they were the Seropian brothers. Now back then, Fresno County had a population of about 10,000. Very small.
Right.
The entire county was 10,000. So they started coming here, and then they came in 1881, and the next family, the Markarian family, 1882, and then the Arkelian family, 1883, and then it just kind of started mushrooming from there.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
First of all, they were leaving their country, right? The Armenian people. So how did Fresno come up on their radar?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure. There's a lot of history on this. There's a book written about this, but the Seropians came out here. They didn't really. I think someone said, "Hey, you like Fresno," and
Well, it had to do with farming?
the weather. They weren't farmers at first. They were merchants.
Oh.
They owned a store in Massachusetts. They weren't really into farming until they got to Fresno for health reasons. I think that was one of the main reasons.
Now, is the climate similar?
Climate is similar.
Okay.
And they could farm and they could start a business. That's the main things they started doing when
Well,
they got
if you
here.
say Massachusetts, that
Yeah.
area,
It's-
I know there's quite a few Irish that were in that area. They may have told them about Fresno
Well-
because a lot of them landed over here
Don't
in
forget-
LA.
California, a bus was everywhere.
No, that
That's
well,
true.
that
There
was
was a big
too.
drive to
Covered
them.
wagons.
Go west,
In
go west.
1846.
What's crazy is that the first
Gold Rush now.
Armenians actually came from there to Fresno. They didn't go to LA.
Oh,
They didn't go to
straight to
They
came to
Fresno.
Fresno.
Straight Fresno.
So there's a
Okay.
lot of history here, and it's all on the wall. We have tons of stuff on the wall, and the video showed what the wall looks like. We have computer display machines that highlight certain things that we felt were important. Churches,
Yes.
because the first churches were built here, the first services were here in 1883. They first started, because we're very religious
Okay.
people. We're the first Christian nation to recognize Christianity in
301
301 AD.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of our history. So churches are important.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. We started businesses, although a lot of Armenians had to change their last name because there was a lot of
survive.
discrimination against them back
Yes.
then. My family had to change their last name on my mom's side.
Well, I'm
Her-
glad to know you're part of the team. They
And
did
that
that
was-
to the Mexican and quite
Yeah.
a few others.
And that was Tucson, right?
Their name is Tucson,
And what
but
does Tucson mean? Is it tobacco?
now I'm not sure what it means.
So my dad always would say that meant tobacco because
I-
they grew tobacco in the old country.
I don't know what it.
So it's the association between what the person does, whether they're a merchant or a traveler, et cetera, is part of the name, like similar
Son of
to.
Or son of, yeah.
Yeah.
Aronian, I would actually be son of Aaron, but I think that wasn't even our last name because when you got to Ellis Island and checked in,
Yes.
they couldn't spell things correctly. That's why you have, they're family members, but they have different last names. So there was a lot of confusion. They didn't speak the language. Our family came here in the 1890s.
Right.
They were escaping, as she initially was talking about the genocide, but there was massacres going on
Years before.
in the
Oh, dear.
1890s. There were hundreds of thousands of Armenians being killed by the Turks, and it was a bad environment.
Right.
There was a lot of
So it's
poverty
just a
and
continual crossover where they have those three countries that they're always the middle having disruptions.
yeah. I want to
Yes.
focus on positive things here.
Right.
but
No,
That's why
but
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just
It's like
thinking,
it's-
does the people,
Yes.
not everybody reads their history books,
it's
so,
important to
to understand.
look back at it
yeah.
to know
Why the
about it.
migration happened here.
Right.
So
right.
after, I don't know, you didn't really touch on this, but before 1914, we have a map there of all the different villages. In the Ottoman Empire, there was a couple million Armenians living there. There were a couple million living in the Russian area. And after 1925, pretty much all 2 million were wiped out. They were not living there anymore. They were killed.
Today, there's probably maybe 60,000, and most of them are in Istanbul, which we called Constantinople.
Yes.
The name of the town's
Yes.
got changed.
But
Yes.
we wanted this exhibit to focus on the positive contributions
Right.
that the Armenians have made to the Fresno community,
Many.
dating
many.
back to the earliest days of Fresno County. And we have a lot, it was all privately funded. Jason and I and my father, we went out to the community and we raised all the money ourselves.
Wow.
We're very proud of that.
Oh, you did a
Because the
great
community
job.
stepped up
Wow.
Yeah.
and donated to the project, and we got a lot of photographs from some of the families I mentioned. The
Yes.
first ones were here. They have photographs dating back to the early 1900s.
That's fabulous.
Wow.
And this area had back then we had what we would call the fig king of the country, Markarian family. The fig king of the country was from Fresno, and the melon kings
Cantaloupe King.
of
Yeah.
the country, the Arkelian family, were from Fresno.
Were those some of the seeds they brought with them?
Probably, I don't know. I know they had special ones because they had the
Oh.
gutas and
I
different
just
varieties
love those
of-
figs.
Yeah, they're good.
So there's also, we also focus on, I get kind of excited when I talk about this because we
Oh,
probably
no.
I know
spent
you're passionate.
You should.
100
Yes,
hours each
sure.
on this.
How many hours did you put into that? How many years?
It's, well, about a year, and it took over 100 hours of time.
Wow.
So, but we went around and we took photographs of monuments. There's quite a few monuments in Fresno, and this is just Fresno County we're focusing.
Right, right.
So, for instance, the church that we belong to in Fowler, St. Gregory Apostolic Armenian Church, that's the second oldest Armenian church still in existence in the country.
Wow.
They've remodeled it, but it
my
dates back to
goodness.
1910, the church.
Did you put it on the historical listing to make sure the building's protected?
Well, no,
Holy
but
Tea does.
now the Holy Trinity Church, which is my mom's church, that dates back. They started church service. That church was founded in 1900,
Is that
but-
the one downtown?
But it
but
burned.
it burned down. The original church burned down. The new one, the Red Brick Church, which is a beautiful church, that was built in 1914. That is on the National Register
Oh,
of
good.
Landmarks.
And so is
Oh,
the
okay.
bread
The
place
lo-
across the way, Valley.
Valley Lavash is on there.
And that cemetery is as well.
Okay, this might sound a little eerie, but we have
It's okay.
the cemetery.
No.
The cemetery, the Arat Cemetery, dates back to 1885.
Which one is that? Where are the cross streets?
It's off of Belmont and Hughes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
But that
okay.
cemetery has a whole bunch of history right there.
Belmont, sure.
The Soropians
Everything
were
is
born,
there.
were buried there.
Yes,
All the plots of the famous people.
right.
So you have your own Armenian section, is what you have, and
It's
that.
an Armenian. It's
Yes.
the only Armenian
It's
cemetery.
actually two of them now. Yeah, Massus
Wonderful.
and then Arad. We have
That's,
two.
but
We
it's
had to
the,
buy
o-
more space.
the only one in the country.
It's the only one in the Western Hemisphere that is
Right.
actually a functioning one. I found out that
Wonderful.
there was one in Wisconsin, a real small one, but it's not a functioning one.
We
So-
have a lot of Fresno pride here.
So when you go to the computer display, you
Oh,
can
you're getting
pick up,
wrapped
you
up.
can view all these things.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
We're having
right.
so much fun here.
Yeah, we're going to keep.
You guys have any questions for
Yeah.
me or?
Well, I asked you kind of interruptively.
No, that's,
Now everyone can come and see this at the fairgrounds. I know the docent said that they have openings during the week, even if it's not fair time. So I don't know if your particular exhibit is open. Is it going to be open for display at some time during this April?
this is on April 13th, everything is open
Okay.
for the public.
Okay. And do you know, is that like from what time to what time?
11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay.
And there's parking on Chance Avenue?
There's free parking off a Chance. I think you can even.
Parking lot 2 or something? Is that right?
Yeah, you drive in off a Chance and you can enter and park anywhere
Okay.
they direct you.
So that's April 13th. Again, it's free, and it's quite an education. You go through the whole museum, and there's these push-button displays for everything from Kearney, learning about Kearney, to all these wonderful names, Fulton.
Come over here.
Right, that's on the
Did-
bottom.
quite
floor.
frankly, I lived here my whole life, and I did transfer out of town a little bit, but for the most part, we had no history on that. We didn't learn this in school locally, and we should be.
Yes.
So hopefully school kids are touring this.
There is an
Right.
Armenian school in town here. I know they've taken several tours there, and
What
it
about
re-
the other schools here going?
I think a lot of school groups do go through there.
They should
and,
be.
Okay.
it's a good experience.
Yeah.
The whole museum is a good experience.
Oh my God,
really.
yes.
they
it
have a
is. I
section
mean-
on Mr. Autorama. Remember Balaki Jijian?
Yes.
They have a whole section
He was
on him.
wonderful.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
The Fresno
Yes.
Athletic Hall of Fame is on the first floor.
And they have an
It's-
apothecary set up, an old drugstore, and I think a lot
Yes.
of that was donated by Rustikian because he
Right.
ended up buying Booker and Closen.
Somebody
which is
did
now the-
donate all that.
Yeah, medicine
All right.
chest. there.
So you go ahead. Was that
Thank you.
your? We
Yeah,
want to
please.
just thank you so much
yeah,
for
thank
taking
you for
time
having
out of
me.
your busy day, and thank you, Vanush, for bringing
Yeah,
him.
thank
And
you for the clip and everything.
oh my gosh,
appreciate
we
you guys.
really
History.
needed to hear more about, and we need to hear. As a matter of fact, if any of you folks out there want to bring some of your historical information to us, so that we can start teaching informing our local people about our 128 plus multicultural languages and people. We want to hear about it. Please, 226-1521. Now I'm going to give Mickey Addison a little bit of time with her guest, June Sumner. Go ahead.
Okay, Janet, I'm so glad you were able to make it. I know traffic was the bomb out there. Janet Sumner is founder of Take a Stand. You can find her out of 2 community centers, either Mary Ellen Brown or else Maxie Parks. She's a dedicated community activist, and Juneteenth for this year will be June 15th. The morning starts with a parade at 10 o'clock over at the Food Max Shopping Center, and goes over to Maxie Parks. No, Frank
H. Ball Park.
It's called Frank Ball Park, but it's AKA Frank H. Playground. And that's from 12 to 8. And without further ado, I'm going to let Janet speak for herself about Juneteenth and what it's all about, starting with a history of why do we have Juneteenth, where did it come from?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here and to talk about Juneteenth. Juneteenth started in Fresno about 41 years. I think this is our 41st year. Juneteenth is a celebration of African American culture where in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation to free the slaves. Well, that information did not get to Galveston, Texas until somewhere between the 13th and the 19th of June, 1865. That's where Juneteenth came. So the celebration of Juneteenth is celebrated throughout the United States, many cities, between June 13th and the 19th. Generally with us here in Fresno and around the country, it's like June 15th, 16th, but I've seen it some days where it's June 19th. There are some cities that celebrate it the whole week. We celebrated about 2 or 3 days out of the week of the between June 15th and June 19th. We start this year with a baseball game at the Grizzly Chachansey Park. We honor the baseball team that was here in Fresno back in 1945 called the Fresno Tigers. Wow. And that's on Thursday night, which will be June 13th.
African American?
It was all African American team, yes, and then it moved to San Diego. So we still honor that.
We didn't even know that. That's wonderful.
Yes. And so we celebrate that. And we have the players, they generally wear a jersey, their jersey, and then we have the team.
What was the name of the team?
The Tigers, the Fresno Tigers.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Before
Edison's.
Yes, in 45. And I actually had a relative that was actually on that team in 1945. So proud of that. And so we honor that, and we collaborate, partner with Grizzlies on that day where we bring out a lot of our African American residents to celebrate Juneteenth and to visit the park and enjoy the game for that day. The next day, which is Friday, we have a gospel celebration, and it's going to be held at the Free AME Church. And with the African American culture, we celebrate gospel song. And so this will be at 6 p.m. at the Free AME Church. And then on Saturday, we start our wonderful, wonderful celebration. I'm so proud of it. I've been on the team with Juneteenth since 2010. And our folks here in Fresno in the 93706 area code not only look forward to Juneteenth, they expect it. And we've grown to where it was a picnic in the park to where last year we had over 5,000 folks that came out at Frank H. Ball. We generally, when Juneteenth first started, it was held at the Cecil Hinton Community Center. From there, we went over to Gaston Middle School for a couple of years, and we outgrown all of those areas. So now we're at Frank H. Ball Park. A lot of trees, a little nice park area within the neighborhood. And so it was a really good fit. A lot of us who grew up in Fresno remember Frank H. Ball for the baseball games, the basketball, gymnasium that they have.
Swimming?
As well as swimming.
Wow, big on swimming.
Yes, big on swimming. So our celebration starts that morning at 10 o'clock with the parade, the kickoff parade, at 10 a.m. at Food Max Shopping Center, and it goes down Fresno Street to Pato, and then I think it turns on A Street and then goes down to the ballpark. At 12, we open up with our opening ceremony with dignitaries that come to speak. And we have activities that are just throughout the whole day. We have kids zone, we have health zone where we have health collaborators that come out and they conduct blood pressure checks, diabetes checks, and a lot of resource information in the African American culture about health and wellness and things like that. So that's really a really good thing because people are able to get information. We have our art zone. We have a lot of African American art that is displayed for our folks to come out and see what our history is like. We have main stage where we have entertainment. We have spoken word. We have different genres of music from gospel music, and again that day we have some of our teens that do a little bit of rap. We have our kids come out and do different skits and different dances and things like that. And then we have, of course, our main artists that come out that comes to perform for us.
Okay, it's a very lovely event. Now, you're the African American group. We're here in Fresno. About what time? What period of time? 1800s. When did the community start growing?
Well,
Do you have any idea?
in Fresno, it started 41 years ago, and I guess that's around.
She's talking about Juneteenth.
But
you're
Juneteenth
talking about settlement of African Americans. You know, we were brought west.
You know, I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I don't want to just guess.
No. But I know
Fresno is 150 years old. I mean, incorporated about 150 years. I would say we were probably here at the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Did we get any of the Allenworth people here?
The Allen, what?
Allensworth. They actually celebrate
Colonel
Juneteenth as
Allensworth.
well.
They do.
Yes, we do. And they celebrated
Did
the
any
week
of them
before
end up
us.
here in Fresno? Or
They-
did they mostly go to LA?
They actually come from all over California, and we actually attend that celebration. They now host their Juneteenth the week before ours here in Fresno, so that they're able to come. And I'm very proud because I said we're like top 5 of the celebrations here in California.
And do you do anything in collaboration? Because there is an African American museum, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
they also have a celebration, and it's they coin it as the Blues and Jazz, because June is the Blues and Jazz month in the African American community, and so they actually have a celebration towards the evening that celebrates blues and jazz music from the African American
Well,
culture.
the African American group has given so
yeah.
much in music to the,
Yes.
We used to have
United
good
States.
celebrations here on the west side, the Chinatown Jazz.
Yes,
They had
I remember
Al Jarreau,
that.
And I think you said that they even had Santana here at one time. It was a big deal.
Yes.
I don't know what happened, but
Last year, you had
Lionel
Lenny
Richie was
Williams.
here.
Lenny
Right.
Williams was here last year, if you know who that is. Lenny Williams.
Lenny Williams,
yeah.
R&B.
He
He used to
was
sing
with,
Tower of Power.
That's right.
He was
Tower
out.
of
He
Power.
did last year at
That's
the
right.
park. It was
Yeah.
exciting.
I was able and blessed to bring him for free. And a couple years ago, I actually paid $75 to see him, and so we were able to get him.
Aretha Franklin
to
was
come.
here.
Is that right?
No.
Yeah.
Are
Okay,
you
I don't
serious?
remember.
Wow.
Hacienda. I was a hat check girl that
Yes,
night. I was so rich, I made $100 in
yes,
tips.
yes.
That was a lot of
Yeah,
money.
we've had so
That was
many
a lot of
important
men.
I
Yeah.
need to ask you something, because I've actually had necklaces I've bought at fairs with this shell on it, and I was told it was the sign of fertility.
You know, that's a good question. I have no idea.
She's got shells that remind
Yes.
you.
Yeah, and it's I have it on jewelry.
That's
We
something I'll
had
have to
shells in
Google
the
and look
hair.
up.
You know, it's a decoration for your hairstyle.
We're such an
To have
inquisitive
shells.
group.
Yeah, so that's
and
okay.
you
It was
touched
very interesting.
on Colonel Allensworth. So if you don't know where it is, it's off of 99 near Pixley. And once you go off the 99, there will be signs that lead you to it. It's easy to find, but you have to run to the dead end to a railroad track and turn
And
left.
this is again for what?
Colonel Allensworth State Park.
It's a
Alice.
historical
It's
park.
quite amazing.
settlement.
Yes,
It's
yes.
a
really
settlement
amazing.
by
Yeah.
Yes.
Colonel Allensworth.
Okay.
So
Yes.
we really
Started their
have-
own town.
Do you have any
Yes,
other?
it's a township.
Yes.
So really, I would thank you, and just to touch on everything you said, and a couple more things. That We're
Okay.
going to have face painting at the Juneteenth celebration for the kids, and then I understand they're doing free bicycle repair.
They do that, and we'll have a clown with the balloons and so on and so forth.
Vendors.
Do you want to go ahead and show everyone, turn
Yes.
that flyer around
Okay.
so everyone can,
Up like that, yes.
check it out?
I don't know if they
There's a
can zoom in on
Juneteenth.
that.
Yeah.
We'll keep
And-
reminding people
Right.
Okay.
before then.
Right.
too,
And let me
because that's a
say
good
this:
thing.
this year we're celebrating the theme of Black Panther, even though that was a cartoon character. The civilization of the African American community came from the kings and queens. So we're asking folks to come out dressed in Africana wear And we're
how
theming it
wonderful.
out. Welcome to Fresconda. Yes,
There you
that's gonna
go.
Yes.
That's
Tell me why I got it now.
Well, Janice, I thank you so much for taking time out of your
Yes.
day to give us a full view of what Juneteenth is,
Well,
and I
thank
hope
you.
that the community comes out and enjoys every minute of this function and get to know your local history. We have so many rich cultures here. We should be very proud, and I think we should be. Strength is together. We need to stick together, and each of us, even though we have our own cultures, we are a community and a strong community, and we need to be involved with that. So be sure to watch us next week. We have the Homeless Task Force coming over, HSPs from the Mayor's Office and Lieutenant Beckworth. Alrighty, so tune in and come out to CMAC if you want to come and ask some questions in person. We're inviting anyone to come out and be part of the audience. At any of our events, any of our showings, live talk shows. Thank you so much for tuning in. Edna Collins with Yo Soy Neighborhoods Fresno. Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.